Welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. In a previous video, I was playing around with this old Inmarsat satellite data terminal. I was able to fire that up, get on the internet, and make some phone calls. Not for free, as some people have asked. I did have to buy a SIM card for that, which was pretty expensive. These used to be kind of the standard in mobile satellite internet for ships, for government vehicles, aircraft. However, they are slow and expensive. It's a geostationary satellite, so it's a lot farther away from the Earth. The latency is really bad, the lag time is bad, and the bandwidth is pretty bad. It's also really expensive. Modern solutions like Starlink are not only faster and less laggy, but they're cheaper. So equipment like this is rapidly showing up on the used market. Now again, while the equipment is cheap, the service is still very expensive. I don't know if Inmarsat is going to start pricing themselves more competitively to try to keep up with modern things like Starlink, or if they're just going to continue pricing themselves out of the market until they're non-existent. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to try to get a little bit more use out of this thing before the system goes completely obsolete. Now, I wanted to address a couple potential questions from the last video. While it is a satellite internet terminal, you may have seen I did not do much internet browsing with it. I went to basically one website that just returned a couple characters, and that used much less than a megabyte of data. Now, the data plans for this are terrible. For $160, you can get 5.5 megabytes. Now, that's fine for something like Internet of Things, for telemetry, if you're tracking a shipping container, if you're just sending sensor data from a ship. Yeah, 5.5 megs of data is probably fine. And governments and oil companies kind of have infinite money to waste, so they'll throw that away on something like this. For a normal user like me, 5.5 megabytes, that's like one blurry photo. So you definitely don't want to browse the internet with this thing. And most modern websites load way more data than that, just in the background stuff, the style sheets, the advertisements. Modern internet is kind of terrible, as everyone out there has fiber optic, gigabit connections, broadband, always on cell phone connections. The whole world is going with faster and faster internet, and that has only encouraged web developers to get less and less efficient, cram more bloat into their websites, make their websites take up more space, take longer to load. Unfortunately, there's kind of an arms race, and the faster your internet gets, the worse websites will get, because developers don't have to optimize anything. If you live in a third world country or a rural part of the US that just has dial-up internet, that just has satellite internet, unfortunately, the modern internet, they don't really care about you. It's another reason why outfits like Starlink are probably going to take over the rural internet market, wipe out old school phone companies, wipe out old space satellite companies, because they are going to offer modern connections to the modern world. Anyway, the whole point of that rant is I am not going to do really any web browsing with this. It is capable of it, but it is far too expensive to do that. It's really more optimized for phone calls, and for that same $160 SIM card, you get about 50 minutes of voice phone call airtime. So that's mostly what I'm going to be doing with this thing until I burn through my prepaid SIM card. We just need to find a few more people to call. We also need to find a better telephone setup. In the first video, I had to kind of scrounge to find a landline phone to hook up to this. It is designed for a plain old telephone service connection, and nobody has a plain old telephone connection anymore, unless you live in a third world country or the middle of Iowa or someplace. Nobody has this stuff, so I had to dig out a landline phone from 1973. I had to dig out a 1990s DTMF keypad, because this does pulse dialing and this wants tone dialing. Anyway, we were able to make some phone calls with the Freedom phone here, but it was really inefficient and kind of a hassle, because you had to hook up all these wires and jump through a bunch of hoops. So I was puzzling around with this. I was about to go down to the antique store and look for a desktop landline phone when somebody in the comments of a previous video said, "What about your Flipper Zero? That will generate DTMF tones, and you can use that as a dialer." I have my Flipper stashed in this box somewhere. I haven't really been using the thing. I bet it's all sad and lonely in here. Now, the last time I used the Flipper, everyone said I should be using a custom firmware instead of the boring old vanilla firmware it comes with. All right, so we've got our new Unleashed firmware. This, I think, is what I'm looking for, this DTMF Dolphin. If you've never heard of colored boxes for phone phreaking, this was like way before hacking. This was back when people wanted to make free phone calls and whatnot. So to use this with our 1973 phone on the satellite phone, we can actually enter the number that we want. and we have to start with a 00. All right, so we've got our Inmarsat terminal set up. We're running some of this on shore power because it draws 100 watts, and I don't want to just drain the battery on the car, and I don't want to have to run the car engine for it. So I've turned this on, and we should have a satellite lock. And if we refresh our status page on the laptop that's connected to it here, we are registered on the network. We are attached. We have services available, both packet switch and code switch. So we should be all ready to go. We just need a telephone to connect to this. I went ahead and taped an external mic to the earpiece of the phone, so hopefully you, the viewer, can hear what's going on. And then I'm just going to dial by sending the flipper DTMF codes into the mouthpiece. That is not working because usually after I dial the 00, it drops the dial tone and then it lets me know that it's connecting to something. So there are a couple possible reasons why the flipper here can't dial the phone. It might just be too quiet. The little speaker on here is pretty tinny, and yeah, it's really hard to hear those tones, even up close to it. I'll hold it up to the mic here. So it might just not be loud enough to make it into the earpiece and activate the DTMF dialer. It might also be the wrong tone. I've read that the flipper here uses a PWM method to generate the tones, so it's not quite a pure sound tone. It's not quite the right tone for an actual telephone system, so it's possible that it doesn't work with the DTMF decoder on the Inmarsat modem. And then the third reason is maybe this just won't take tones over the audio connection from the phone. It's possible that just holding a thing up to the phone and trying to dial that way won't work. We can actually test that out with a cell phone. If we've got an app like this that will give us tones, and that sounds much more like an actual tone to me. The flipper is too tinny and it's not quite the right frequency. This might be the right frequency. So let's try playing tones from this app into the 1973 phone and see if we can dial that way. Alright, that did not work. I found another app that will do redialing so I don't have to type in every number. Nope, still not working. Alright, well, unfortunately, I think we've got to retire the Freedom phone here. It was fun while it lasted, but there's not really a good, reliable way to dial this thing. There are some hacky ways to dial it, but it's really inconvenient, and I'd rather do something else with the Inmarsat terminal. So, in the meantime, I have picked up a more modern desktop landline phone. I may have shown this already in the video. I'm a little out of order here. I was going to film 2 different videos. If the flipper worked, that was going to be its own thing, but I can't get the flipper to do much, so it's going back in the junk drawer, and we're going to try the desktop phone instead. Yes, the inside of my car is a mess. Don't judge me. Powering up the modem. The antenna is locking on. You just can't see it anymore because I've covered up that nice pretty antenna with this radome. Got a dial tone. Now I have to remember the crazy dialing sequence for this. It's like plus, then the phone number, then pound, but plus on a landline phone is like a 00 to get out of the US, except it's to get out of UK since the modem, Inmarsat, is based in the UK, so the modem kind of thinks it's a UK phone number even though it knows it's located in the US. Anyway, we have to dial 00, then the phone number, then a pound sign. Should be able to call myself here. One thing I should note, if you figure out what my satellite phone number is, don't call it. And that's not for my safety, that's for yours, because it costs me nothing to take incoming calls, but if I call the satellite phone on my cell phone, it costs $9 a minute to my cell phone. So if you try to call me on that number, it'll cost you $9 a minute. I've tried to fuzz out the number and edit it out anywhere that I show it, but if it sneaks through somewhere, just don't call it. We are ringing. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
All right. We've got quite a bit of echo now. All right, that's really obnoxious on speakerphone. So my voice is going through the landline phone here up to space, down to Inmarsat's ground station, into the landline phone system, somewhere from wherever that is over to my phone, so my cell phone provider, off to the cell phone tower, down to my cell phone. Yeah, this is crazy, and there's a huge lag. Alright, so we're out for a drive tonight. I figured we'd give the satellite terminal a try. We've still got it on top of the roof here. Everything's fired up. We've got the desktop phone plugged in, and we're just going to give it a couple of quick tests with the test numbers. Just see if it works while we're driving, see how it does, turning corners, going under overpasses, that kind of thing.
Welcome to the Inmarsat prepay service. The menu options have recently changed. Query balance, press 1.
See what it does when we go under the bridge. Our signal definitely drops underneath the bridge. We're still kind of in a canyon here. See if it'll reconnect when we get back up onto the freeway.
Query balance.
Oh, there it goes.
1. To top up, press 2. To change.
So there's only so much I can really do with what's essentially a telephone. It will start to get boring after a while, so let's do a couple more gimmicky things with it. Next up, I'm going to call one of my Patreon supporters. Patreon is really helping me out support projects like this because this is not free. There is no free satellite phone service that I know of, and the cheapest SIM card for this is like $160 on Amazon. So I am definitely paying for the service. I'm only going to do like a month of it though. But anyway, my Patreon supporters really help out with silly things like that. So if you want to support projects like this, jump over to Patreon. There will be a link down below, and you can send me like $5 a month or something. Anyway, we're going to call one of my Patreon supporters. Now, this isn't something I can do for every Patreon supporter, although I do really appreciate every supporter. This person contacted me and said they have a Starlink satellite phone, and they were wondering what is it like to call a Starlink phone from an Inmarsat phone. So we're going to give that a shot here. Now, I'm not driving around at the moment. We had some technical issues last night, not with the satellite terminal, but actually with the landline phone. Specifically, my little power supply for the landline phone does not like this inverter. This is about the cheapest 120 inverter you can get for a car, and it was not reliably powering the phone. So I'm supposed to be on the phone right now, but I've got last-minute audio issues. A lot of people in the comments said they don't like the sound of this wireless mic, but my other mic is not working with the phone, so we're going to resort to this one again. So apparently I cannot figure out how to get audio out of a phone into a camera. All right, cat break. I got to go chase one of the neighborhood cats out of the garage again. Oliver. Oliver, what are you doing? Come here. Hi. Hi. What's up? You're okay. Can I pet you? Hi. You're a grumpy boy, aren't you? Let's give this call a try. Edit out those DTMF tones.
Hey, Gabe.
Hey.
Andrew here. How's it going?
Hey, Andrew. It's going pretty well. How's the connection?
Seems to be pretty good. A little bit of latency for sure between the voices. So definitely a little bit of lag. This would be an Inmarsat initiated call. So Inmarsat to geosynchronous orbit down back to Earth, and then up to low Earth orbit back down to Earth via Starlink. Over.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I got to remember my radio protocol here with the lag, but yeah, definitely a little more latency than before with just Inmarsat to landline. So yeah, I think the Starlink is less laggy than the Inmarsat, but it's adding a little bit. Over.
Right. This is very interesting though. 46,000 miles rather. That's incredible for our voices to be traveling this distance. I don't think anybody has done this on terrestrial based systems. So we're definitely going to be one of the first here.
Yeah, it's this is different. And I wanted to say, while I've got you on the line, I wanted to say thank you for the Patreon support. I just saw that come through, so that was really cool.
Absolutely, definitely appreciate what you do on YouTube. We need more of that for sure. Over.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, sounds great, Gabe. Thanks again for your time, and have a great rest of your day. Over.
You too. Talk to you later, Andrew. Over and out. All right, since we've got this thing working, we've got the audio working, let's give another big satellite YouTuber a call, Peter Fairlie up in Canada. He has been doing a ton of North Korean pirate TV lately, so you may be familiar with that. Prior to that, he did a bunch of satellite phone stuff, and when he was putting out his satellite phone call videos, I really wanted to give him a call, but I didn't have any satellite equipment to call him with. Now we do, so we're going to call up Peter and see how that connection sounds.
Hello.
Peter, it's Gabe from Save It for Parts. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Good to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I might have to edit out some of the lag here. I had an earlier call I had to say over at the end because we had such a latency, but yeah, good to finally get a hold of you in person, as it were, over.
Oh, this is your satellite phone.
Right, yeah, I am on the Inmarsat terminal here, so I'm on the, yeah, it's an L-band uplink to geostationary orbit, and then I'm calling your satellite phone number, so I figured it'd be a good test here to see how all that went.
That's actually what we should be saying, because there is quite a bit of delay, probably about 2 seconds. Your audio sounds actually really, really good, very clear. Actually, without the latency, I wouldn't even know that you're on satellite call. Over.
Okay, well that's cool. Yeah, it definitely, I know there's a little bit of compression, and my camera was actually having some issues, I think, with the audio earlier. It's like the compression on the satellite terminal doesn't play well with the audio compression on my camera, but I think I have that worked out, so it's been a learning experience here getting everything to work. Over.
Or, yeah, well, good talking to you there, Gabe, and thanks for calling me on my sat phone. Over.
Yeah, you're welcome. This has been great. Since you started putting out those videos, I was wanting to try and give you a call, but I never had the right equipment, and yeah, now I've got this thing, so I can make crank calls through space. So that's kind of a fun thing. But yeah, I'll let you go here. I don't need to use up your airtime. And
It's a pleasure talking to you too, Gabe, and for yourself, and all the best. Over.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Over and out. All right, well, that was a lot of fun. I've actually been a fan of Peter Fairlie's channel for quite a while. I've subscribed to him for a while, and he's got great content. And I've been wanting to call him. I was hoping to try to call him on that two-way dish up there, the square one, but I never quite figured out the equipment for that. So this Glocom Inmarsat terminal was quite a bit easier, and it was fun to actually talk to him in person, get that satellite phone call working. Really fun, really cool. So I know I'm nerding out about something that's basically just a telephone, but I still think it's really cool to go send a signal up to space, down from space, through a telephone switching network, potentially back up to space, down from space. Yeah, there's a lot of lag involved, and you have to use some radio protocols, but it is a lot of fun to do that. And if I could find a cheaper way to do this, I would be calling people on this thing all the time. Sadly, it costs a fortune to make these phone calls, so it's mostly just a novelty these days. Inmarsat, like I said in the last video, it's designed for government users, it's designed for oil companies who've got infinite money to waste. Somebody told me that this particular system that I have used to cost the US government $15,000 a month. So that's where your tax money is going. It's going to the US government paying 15 grand for every one of their vehicles with a satellite terminal on it. All right, we're out here at Sandland at the monorail. Probably can't see anything. This is a terrible time to film anything, but we brought the Inmarsat terminal out here because Sandland is notoriously bad at cell phone service. Even my real phone gets like no bars up here. So when we're out here hanging out at the Sandland monorail, which we use as a camping cabin, we got this from the Minnesota Zoo. There's a whole story. I have other videos on that. Oh, it doesn't like that either. I don't think we have a signal out here. Well, unfortunately, Sandland is so far off the grid that not even the satellite phone works. We are down in this valley. We do not apparently have enough of a view of the southern sky to get a good signal, so I cannot get it to make a call. This is the first real failure I've had with the thing. Okay, for maximum test of this system, we're going to try to call my friend Gil in Europe while driving. I'm going to do it hands-free here so I'm not breaking any laws. And we'll just give it a all-up test of how well does it work with the antenna moving to call somebody internationally.
Let's go.
Hey Gil, it's Gabe. How's it going?
Gabe, you space kid, how are you?
Pretty good. Are you receiving me okay? I know there's quite a bit of lag here. Over.
Yeah, I'd give you like 4 out of 5 for modulation. I haven't heard my bandwidth for a while, but yeah, sounds alright.
Okay, yeah, I'm just getting on the freeway here, so yeah, I might have had some interference from overhangs and whatnot.
Okay, thanks for the call. Take it easy.
Yeah, you too. Have a good one, and thanks for picking up. Alright, I think we're going to wrap this video up. We've done some fun things with the Inmarsat terminal, although it's basically still just a toy or a novelty. It's too old, it's too slow, it's too expensive to really be useful for anything. It kind of actually sucks to use in a car because I can't hear the audio on the hands-free. The person on the other end said that sounded terrible. If I go under an overpass, if I go by a freeway wall, the audio drops out. So yeah, it might be fine on a Humvee in the middle of the desert in whichever Middle Eastern country we're blowing up this week, but in a city or in a forest or in an area with hilly terrain, this would not work very well. Again, we couldn't even get this to work at Sandland because Sandland is down in a valley. We didn't have enough of a clear view of the southern sky of geostationary orbit for this to get a connection. So yeah, Sandland is a hole in more ways than one. I don't even have much cell phone service out there. AT&T does work, that's what all of our cameras are on, but my personal cell phone on Verizon doesn't work out there. The Inmarsat terminal doesn't work out there. So I think something like Starlink would work a lot better because it's low Earth orbit, the satellites are closer, they're more spread out, and they will work down in valleys, they will work in urban canyons, they will work in forests, and we'll give those a try in the future. But for now, we're going to put the Inmarsat terminal aside because I can't really think of any more uses for it, and it's just too expensive to keep using as a novelty. I do hope it was interesting. I was a little bit all over the place with this video. We tried the flipper, we tried the terminal in different spots, we tried driving. I didn't have a cohesive plan for this. I started out trying to do more with the flipper. I was hoping to do more with this at Sandland. That didn't work very well, so we just kind of made it up as we went along, which I do in a lot of my videos. If you did stick through this entire video, then I appreciate it, and if you want to see more on the Inmarsat terminal, you can go back and check my part 1 video where I did some other stuff, called some other people. You can see what the inside of this thing looks like. And then I've got lots of other videos on my channel and on my playlists about satellite experiments, things like what Gil mentioned with electric boats, other projects that I do, other Sandland things, just all sorts of stuff. So check those out if you get a chance. Thanks again to everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.
To enter a different prepaid phone number, press 4.
Oh, this truck is so
Options
slow.
again, press 9.